Do you believe in ghosts? I know some of you don't. In this video I'm going to share with you real-life stories of people who had a life-changing experience with ghosts and now believe in them. This is the stories that changed their stance about paranormal activity forever. I grew up in a very scientific family. I never knew my dad's stance on ghosts, but they were never talked about it, so it didn't really matter. One day when I was in high school, we were eating dinner and I decided to ask my dad about our old house and moving into it when I was just a baby. So, he told me a story. Apparently, when we lived there, we started to receive gifts once a week. My dad told me, every Friday morning there would be some sort of handcrafted gift sitting on the mantle of our fireplace. My dad was reasonably freaked out by this because we were the only one with keys to the house, and the last owner moved well out of state. So, he informed the local police and they decided to patrol the property every Friday night looking for intruders. They found nothing, and as you could imagine, the gifts kept coming. My dad told me they eventually gave up and feeling helpless, so he went to our local church. Eventually, he had a priest come and bless the house, and we stopped receiving the gifts. What really freaked me out about this was the fact that my dad never believed in ghosts, and didn't mention once that a ghost was causing these gifts to appear. He's an engineer, so he always tries to debunk people's paranormal stories with a realistic explanation, but he was 100% serious with this story. One of the gifts we received and actually still have, it's a wooden sled with a small painting of a man, presumably my dad, pulling me and my sister on the sled. We received this gift about a year before my mother passed away from cancer, so that made the painting on the sled very freaky in hindsight. My dad only told me this story once and he denied he ever told me when I asked him about it recently. I worked at a public pool, and I would work alone after hours cleaning the building and the pool. One night around 2 a.m., I'm cleaning the changing rooms. The pool has been closed for 4 hours at this time. I hear the sound of a child's laughter and bare feet running across the pool deck. I go out and scan the area. There's nobody in sight. The doors are all closed and locked. There is nowhere a kid could be hiding. No wet footprints on the pool deck. I recheck the doors and the security monitors. I am the only person in the building. It was unsettling. When I was in my late 20s, I was dating my girlfriend. We had been together for a while. One summer, her sister was abducted and killed by a group of 6 men. All the men were eventually caught and tried. The trials and the aftermath for the family were devastating and debilitating for them for many years. Fast forward 3 months after the funeral, I arrived at my girlfriend's house to wait for her to get off from her job as a nurse at a local hospital. Neither of her parents were home. Just me, alone in the house. So I went into the family room, turned on the TV, sat down in the couch, got comfortable and began to watch. Clear as a bell, I heard my girlfriend's sister's voice in my right ear, just off my shoulder, call my name. I turned to look at the seat next to me and of course there was nobody there. I stared at the spot in the couch next to me for a long while. Feeling a bit uneasy, I turned off the TV and went outside to wait on the porch. When I was about 10, I had terrible insomnia. I would imagine things and felt incredibly unsafe as though I was being watched, although I never admitted this to anyone. I began only sleeping on the couch, with my back against the wall, and had to have TV or some sort of light on. I missed an immense amount of school because of this, so my mom had me see a neurologist. The neurologist diagnosed me with some things, but the crazy part was during my sleep study, I slept amazingly well, no issues at all, and slept in the real bed. Eventually I got transferred to a children's hospital and speaking to the doctor, I explained that I would see things and felt uncomfortable. They had thought I was experiencing sleep paralysis. When they told my mom, she went ghost white. She pulled me aside and explained she was experiencing things too. She described in detail what I was seeing. That evening she approached my brother and asked broad questions, like do you have anything weird happen in home? Etc. He also described what we experienced. It was then I realized we must have paranormal activity and I've believed it ever since. When we moved out of that house all my sleep issues abruptly stopped and I haven't experienced it since. My girlfriend's grandfather's ashes were on a little shelf in the living room, right next to a very solid and heavy angel statue. One weekend, she and I are fooling around on the living room couch and out of the corner of my eye, I see the angel statue fly off the wall, accompanied with a deep grunt. Now, when I say this thing flew off the wall, I'm talking 7 to 8 feet on the air before landing on the hardwood and leaving a dent where the wing hit. Even if this thing had fell off the wall, it would have dropped straight down, not soared with force. Well, we both stood there in shock, and I whispered if she had heard the grunt as well, to which she agreed. So we both booked it for the day. That night at dinner, we told her parents what happened, leaving out the naughty bit, and my girlfriend's younger sister burst into tears, saying she had seen a dark figure at the foot of her bed the last couple nights but didn't want anyone to think she was crazy. Well, after that day I was a believer. My wife and I swear that our daughter used to talk to ghosts when she was a toddler. She was an only child at the time. I remember she telling me that she was talking to Nana. That's what I called my grandmother, who passed about 15 years before my daughter was born. My daughter was young and so I hadn't even talked about Nana to her, so I showed her a picture and asked who she spoke to. There were 4 women, 3 of which I didn't even know, but without hesitation she pointed to my Nana. Okay, no biggie. Some months later, my wife and I are trying for second baby. After my wife gets pregnant, my daughter is sitting next to her on the couch and puts her head on her belly and says, "Mommy, there's a baby in there." Okay, maybe that's coincidence, or she overheard us saying something. A few weeks later, my wife miscarries. Maybe my daughter picked up on our sadness, who knows, but she again puts her head on her stomach and says, "Mommy, there's no baby in there anymore." Then, several months and one more very early miscarriage later, my daughter tells us, "I was talking to my brother last night and he said that my sister is coming to live with me soon." Again, she's an only child and had no living brother. We were still trying at this point, but had not taken any tests. We picked one up that night, and sure enough, pregnant. When time came to reveal the gender, I wasn't even interested. My daughter had already said it was a girl. Sure enough, I have 2 daughters. I was always on the fence about ghosts because there was no scientific evidence of them being real. Besides, I was going through a big question phase with religion/afterlife at the time anyway. But that soon changed when my family moved into an old farmhouse when I was 12. This was a very old farmhouse with a build date around the Civil War. The original owner's name was still on the old barn out back and we found numerous old antiques built into the walls when we completely renovated the place. A few odd things happened after we first moved in, but distinct things started happening to me after I turned 16, but never to my sister until after she turned 16 too. The most prominent memory I have, the upstairs consisted of 2 bedrooms. One bedroom was the room at the top of the stairs, the second bedroom was in a separate room just to the left of the top of the stairs. I had the private room and my sister's room was the landing. When someone walked up the stairs, it was very distinct. You could hear each individual step and the creaks got louder as the person approaching got closer. One night I am sitting on my bed watching TV or something and I hear my sister come up the steps and go lay on her bed, so I start talking to her. When she doesn't answer me, I get annoyed and go into her room to figure out what her problem is, but she is not there. My mind was blown because I know I heard her. I call for her and she had been downstairs the entire time. We never felt threatened, but it did seem that this entity liked picking only on women. Even my mother, who absolutely doesn't believe in ghosts, had to admit some odd things had happened. I think the funniest thing was having my ponytail pulled while I was doing the dishes. I don't know why it was so funny, it just cracked me up that whatever it was felt like playing with my hair. So my grandma used to live with me. She was in the room next to mine and would get up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, which is in my room. There is drop from her room to mine, so we put a night light outside the bathroom so she could see the way. It was like this for about 12 years. Only a few days after she had passed away, I was in my bed with my cat and dog reading a book or something. I remember my cat and dog both waking up and looking to the night light. My cat got up and went to the light, pawing at it and making noises. My dog just stayed still, not barking. I would grab him so he would calm down or go to sleep, but he never took his eyes off that spot. That's when I saw what I can only say looked like light bend around the night light. I was positive it was my grandma coming back to use the bathroom or check on me. She died about 5 years ago, and to this day I still have that night light there and turn it on every night for her. I haven't seen her or experienced anything like it again, but I'm sure she's still around. In high school, I worked at kids' birthday parties. The place was basically a giant gym. Gymnastics and dance classes were also held there. One day, I came in, and one of the girls I worked with, who was very spiritual and very religious, was totally freaked out. During the gymnastics class she taught that morning, One of the kids was staring up at the ceiling. When she asked the kid what he was doing, he said there's a little boy up there and pointed at the ceiling. Strange enough, but whatever. Kids are weird. Later, two girls who were working a birthday party before mine came out of the gym and were visibly shaken. A pair of 5-year-old twins went down a slide and then stared at the ceiling. They both said that there was a little boy up there, in the same spot on the ceiling that the kid from the morning gymnastics class. We all went in and inspected the ceiling. Of course, it was just a regular, gray, warehouse ceiling. But we were all super freaked out at that point. During my party, I was pushing a little boy on the giant swing we had in the gym. He began to stare at the ceiling too. He said directly to my face, "Hey, there's a little boy up there." We told all of our co-workers and managers about the 3 separate experiences we had today with children from different parties and classes seeing a little boy on the ceiling. The next day, we had downtime between parties, and nobody was in the gym. There are cameras in the gym that allow parents to see their children playing from the lobby. My manager called us out of the break room. We come out and see the screen, which is streaming from the gym, showing that giant swing going back and forth. Nobody's in there. It's just the swing going. I like to think that the ghost was truly a little boy who just wanted to play, and he finally got to go on the swing. Could be worse. My aunt used to live above a convenience store. It was a duplex and had a mudroom that connected the front doors to each apartment. The other apartment was empty and unlocked, so my cousins and I would hang out in there. One night, we are playing hide and seek in the empty apartment. My cousin and I are running from the seeker and the hallway door slams shut in front of us. We freak out and end the game because we are too scared. We tell our parents and my aunt happens to have a night vision baby camera. She sets it up in the living room of the empty apartment and we can all see it on the TV in her house. We are watching it for about 10 minutes, dust is flying everywhere and nothing is happening. Out of the darkness, a Pepsi can roll up and hits the base of the camera, and everybody freaked out. I never went up the stairs alone to get to her house again. I was too freaked out.